Their last outing at Bathurst, the drivers of these very expensive cars put it all on the line.
Bang! Oh, whoa, big off, a lot of speed.
Now we head to another track where these machines have some history.
Big crash, Max Twig launches over the back.
This is round 7 in the Vodka Row Australian GT Championship. Hi everyone and welcome to the final round of the 2011 Vodka Row Australian GT Championship, coming to you today from Melbourne Sandown Raceway. Stephen Johnson from Jim Beam Racing's with us this weekend, and Stephen, this is the end of an era for this championship. Next year we go fully international FIA GT3 rulebook.
Yeah, Aaron, it's going to be really exciting. You know, you got the Ferrari 458, you've got a Ford GT coming, you've got another Merc coming. It's going to be great to see all these GT3 spec cars out here racing for the championship next year, but we still got to finish this year off.
Yeah, that's exactly right. The championship's on the line. Former champion Mark Eddy in the Audi R8 versus Clark Quinn in the American Mosler. There's only two men who can win this crown, so the question is, who will?
The Australian GT Championship has thrown up immense challenges this year, perhaps none more so than at the last round at Bathurst, where drivers battled fog and rain. The unpredictable and ever-changing weather played havoc on race setup and tyre choice. And when the championship leader, Mark Eddy, got it wrong, he had to start from the rear of the grid. Yet behind the wheel of his pacey Audi, he picked off his rivals one by one for a stunning effort at the mountain. Although he has a healthy 46-point lead in the championship, he remains on edge.
Here anything can happen. It's actually a track that's quite easy to come off. Over turn 8, it's very fast. We've come up this morning, we hit some coolant and hit the wall, and another guy came off, I think, at 2:36. His brakes went, so look, it's a track that can bite you.
Clark Quinn, who was the early championship leader this season, showed at Bathurst that he's not afraid to dive bomb if given a chance.
Weeks is slow and Quinn will dive. Bang! Excuse me, Lambo. Oh.
He has nothing to lose as he tries to hunt Eddy down. He doesn't even need to conserve the panels on his Mosler.
This will be the last two races in the Mosler for me in the Australian GT Championship. So next year we're going to be running with Porsche GT3R. So that'll be really good. But yeah, absolutely, there'll be nothing left of the card by the end of Sunday.
Peter Hackett joined the championship partway through the season. This year has been about developing the Mercedes SLS for a two-team assault next year. He's been on the podium 5 times but has never made the top step. So for him, Sandown is all about securing a round victory. With 2 30-minute races here, anything is possible.
GT racing is all about different cars showing different strengths at different times of the race. I'm very lucky with the SLS. Our car is so consistent over an entire race, but some of the cars like the Viper, for example, tend to be quite heavy on their rear tyre. So I think we're going to see here at Sandown, especially where mechanical grip's so important, early on there'll be a shift in who's leading and what pace they're running at, and as the end of the race comes around, 30 minutes is a long time in these cars, you'll find that some of the cars like ours hopefully will come on a bit stronger at the end, and that'll make it really close at the finish.
Greg Crick was one of the drivers who made the wrong tyre choice at Bathurst, which proved costly not only for him but also challenged class leader Peter Boylan.
It was wet and I was able to get a really good run, and we had the car set up for the wet. I liked the wet, and I was in 4th place outright, where I shouldn't have been, right, and catching up to my ex-good friend, Mr. Crick, and he was on slicks and he lost it. He started going right. I was full noise, I went to the left and just didn't get through.
Oh, wham!
Boylan's misfortune has opened the door for Tim Poulton to make a late charge for the Challenge Class title.
Gloves are off this weekend as far as I'm concerned. After Bathurst, with Peter having that absolute shocker, we're in with a good chance. There's only 13 points between us. I got to win both races and hope that he comes 3rd in both races. So I got my teammate here this weekend, so hopefully he can get in between us and sort it out.
Stay with us after the break. The road to determining the champion begins. It's race 1 from Sandown in Melbourne.
get ready.
You're watching the Vodka O Australian GT Championship. In the first 30-minute race of the weekend, there were a few hiccups before the green flag had waved. A miscommunication meant Peter Hackett failed to stop on the grid and was then forced to start from the rear of the field. And series leader Mark Eddy also started from the back of the pack after a spin on the warm-up lap.
This has got massive championship implications, Steve, because he's got to start rear of grid.
Yeah, just obviously got caught out with cold tyres on the warm-up lap. It's still a little bit damp. You can see some water on the track, and lucky to get off the wet grass here too. So massive blow for Mark Eddy in the championship there to start from the rear with Peter Hackett.
So when racing finally got underway, Greg Crick took full advantage.
So Peter Hackett has his first pole in the Mercedes, but he doesn't get to take it because he and Eddie are at the back. So that leaves Greg Crick alone on the front row of the grid. Rolling start in GT racing. And this is a big help for Clark Quinn in the Mosler. Brand new Lamborghini to the right of screen. Nico Halloran behind the wheel for the Maranello Motorsport team. But it is Greg Crick who will lead us away. The Jeep Viper should have a comfortable run to turn one. The 8.3 litre V10 gets charging. Ash Samadhi looking down the inside to turn one. But Clark Quinn will sweep through in a second spot.
Yeah, Clark will be very, very happy to see Mark Eddy at the back there as they negotiate on slick tyres. This river running across the track here after the rain we've had all morning.
Vodka O in-car, the VIP Pet Foods Mosel. Remember, Clark Quinn comes into this weekend 46 points down, and this is the car that won this round last year in the hands of his father, Tony.
Clark's got to win these races, these two 30-minute races this weekend, and he's got to hope that Mark has a shocker. Well, it hasn't started great for Mark, but we've seen him in the past. That Audi has got pace, and I'm sure he'll come through the grid.
Remember that Greg Crick is third in the championship. He can steal second from Clark Quinn, but it is a two-man championship fight across the top of Dandenong Road Corner, and already Peter Hackett is hacking through the traffic.
Hackett and Eddy were soon on the move.
Plenty of traffic to negotiate here, plenty of challenge cars. That's Andrew McPherson in the Mosler. Hackett's working his way through. There's Mark Eddy coming up on Peter Boylan in the 997 Cup car. And it's all about management here for the rest of this race.
Yeah, Mark Eddy's doing a great job here. These cars in between don't actually mean anything in the championship. They're in a different class, so points-wise, he's not behind.
Hackett was pushing hard in the slippery conditions.
V12 Aston Martin, V8 Mercedes SLS. We'll see another of these Mercs next year from the Erebus team with James Brock coming and driving full-time next year. But Quinn is under pressure, and that Merc, have a listen to this thing. 6.3 litres, it sounds and looks the part.
And Quinny will be doing everything he can, obviously in the same team as his son, who is going for the championship. He wants to take as many points off Hackett and Eddy as he can, and he's going to make that car as wide as he possibly can.
And remember too that this is for position 6 in the race. Hackett is still trying. He's got the lights ablaze, but Tony Quinn is hanging on so far. But you just feel this Merc's got more speed.
Yeah, it does. As he has a lunge down the inside of Tony Quinn, does it very easily too.
Dean Grant, the Mosler, Ash Samadhi here in another of the Moslers. This car actually destroyed a brake disc in practice and spun to the infield and left the coolant that Mark Eddy went off on in practice. So it's good to see Ash, who is having a good run here, but Hackett's got speed and he's charging.
Hackett's tyre life, as he alluded to earlier on in the telecast, is a lot better than some of these cars. The car probably hasn't got the horsepower, but it's a lot nicer on its tyres. And at the end of this race, you're going to see Hackett and that Merc come into its own.
Meanwhile, Mark Eddy had a championship on his mind.
The former champ in 2008, Eddy slices past Andrew McPherson. Mark Sini coming back to the series in that red Porsche GT3 Cup S. We haven't seen Mark since Townsville. He's been concentrating on his Carrera Cup, but this is critical for Mark Eddy. He's been in a comfortable spot in the championship. Clark Quinn led earlier on in the year, but the Audi's been a little bit more consistent. Dandenong Road Corner, Ian Palmer ahead in the Viper. It's been confirmed that Eddy will link up with Craig Lowndes and Warren Luff again for the Bathurst 12-hour next year, which is not a part of the GT Championship. It kicks off at the Clipsal 500 at the beginning of March next year. Oh, that's not good placement. Palmer goes around, and that was worrying for Mark Eddy.
Yeah, Mark there just making sure that he wasn't risking himself for the championship. Did a fantastic job.
When we return, race 1 gets wrapped up. This is round 7 of the Vodka O Australian GT Championship. By mid-race, Peter Hackett had driven from the rear of the grid to 4th and wasn't stopping there.
This has been a great fight back from the Erebus Racing Mercedes, and now he's lunging Nick O'Halloran, who we're more used to seeing Nick and the Maranello team running Ferraris. They've imported a 458, but the chance to grab this Lamborghini LP600 was too good to refuse. It is up for sale, so I want a commission if I help. Hackett has caught Clark Quinn. This has been a monumental charge back through the field by the SLS Mercedes. And Clark Quinn has to play championship game, but we saw at Bathurst, Steve, he's not afraid to fight even at this critical point of the season.
No, that's right, Aaron. He's not, but every point counts, you know, so he wants to really try hard to keep in front of Hackett, but Hackett is on a mission at the moment.
This has been the spot where the Mercedes has been strong. He's been doing all his moves into Dandenong Road.
But the day went to Greg Crick. He easily took the victory, setting the fastest lap of the race along the way.
57 years young and still charging on. The Viper is on its way home to its second race win of the year, the Michelin in-car, through this final couple of corners, and the big American muscle car will deliver at Sandown. It's been a dominant performance from our front row starter, who effectively became our pole man. Greg Crick picks up race 1 and does it in style. What a fight from Peter Hackett. The Mercedes off the final turn. He has come from last and will be second. He's 25 seconds down the road, but second is still fantastic compared to where he was.
Yeah, awesome drive that. Clark Quinn, great championship points, coming home in 3rd spot. Now it's just time to see where Mark Eddy's finished here.
Dean Grant next through, then Nick O'Halloran, Ash Samadhi, Tony Quinn in there as well. Mark Eddy's made it across the line. This is the fight in the challenge class, and Tim Poulton, the Lotus, is going to get home in front of Peter Boylan, so he steals a couple of points away, but he's not quite yet in front before race 2.
And Mark Eddy there finishing in 8th spot, definitely protecting his championship, and he goes into the final race still with a handy points lead.
In race 2, series leader Mark Eddy just needed to cross the finish line to wrap up the title.
Greg Crick, race 1 winner, leads us into turn 1. Mark Eddy round the outside on Tony Quinn. We jump on board the Penfold Audi Sport LMS R8. And he just has to play a straight bat in this race. He doesn't need to do anything spectacular. He just needs to stay within a few cars of Clark Quinn, and he's got his second championship.
Well, you can see there into turn 2, playing it very safe. Coming up here on Nick O'Halloran's Lambo. That Audi, just gets squeezed a little bit. It has got some straight line speed, that Audi.
So does Crick. He's already got a margin. Over the top, down the back straight, which deceptively actually does climb before you crest the rise here and come off the top of the S's. Dean Koutsamides there in the Porsche won the challenge class in race 1.
Nearing the halfway mark of the race, the smallest car on the circuit was having a hard time maintaining the lead in the challenge class.
Tim Poulton in the Bundaberg Lotus. This car's had heaps of engine issues this year, so Tim's a little bit surprised to be in the championship fight. Of course, Peter Boylan's drama at Bathurst, but he is under the gun at the moment. Koutsamides, who was a bit of a last-minute entry, he regularly races in the Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge, has come and played GT this weekend and is giving them a run for their money.
That was close. You could see the actual mid-corner speed he was carrying with that Viper of Ian Palmer coming up the inside.
And check out how wide that Viper is. It looks like it'd eat the Lotus for lunch.
That Lotus is very surprising at how much straight line speed it's got. I would have expected that Viper to blow straight past these 2 cars in front.
Just behind too, Stephen Grove in the 997 Cup car. Andrew McPherson just in front in another of the Moslers. But this is a great fight. Completely different types of cars with completely different philosophies from the various companies that have built them. And on the track, nothing separating them.
No, there's not. And you've got Koutsamides here in 2nd place. He won the first race. He's just here as a one-off weekend and wants to win the round. So, and you've got Tim obviously in front of him, who is fighting for the championship. So 2 different levels, I guess, of interest here with these 2 guys. And as you can see, one's a lot more aggressive than the other at the moment.
Koutsamides has a look at turn 1, doesn't get it done. That Lotus is so good on the brakes. And this is the little twisty section where the Lotus is pretty strong.
Next, it's the race to the flag in the Vodka O Australian GT Championship. Vodka O Australian GT Championship. In the final outing of the year, Tim Poulton's race was cut short.
Oh, the Bundaberg Lotus slows on the exit of turn 1. Ian Palmer, the Viper, very nearly hit the back of that car, and it's done. He's pulling off to the grass. This will give the championship in challenge to Peter Boylan.
Now, Tim has had quite a few engine problems with this Lotus throughout the year, so let's not hope that he's had another engine issue there, because that would be soul-destroying.
Dean Grant's demise changed the face of the race.
The rocking Angel Mosler is not rocking at the moment. It's stuck on the exit of the final turn.
It's no Angel either, Aaron.
No, it's not Rocky neither. Let's have a look at the replay. Peter Boylan,
you can hear it in the background there.
Done it himself.
Listen, he could have stalled it here, getting going again.
Flick spin and then stall.
And not moving.
So Greg Crick leads us under safety car, but that big lead that he had has gone. Everyone else, Peter Hackett and Clark Quinn, they've all got a sniff.
When racing resumed, lap traffic mixed throughout the field spelled danger for some.
Crick, this Viper has been the dominant car, Steve, all weekend. Practice, qualifying, race 1, but Clark Quinn is not going to go quietly. He's clearing the lap traffic as quickly as he can.
Down the inside, Clark knows he must get points to win this championship, so... And obviously hope that something happens to Mark Eddy. This is getting a bit tight.
Samadi locks the rears at turn 2, and the Mosler is on the wet grass.
That's going to be hard for Ash to get out of there. There's been a lot of rain over the weekend.
Let's
see what he can do.
There's a puddle. Oh, I don't like this. Oh, not going to make it there.
That is not a four-wheel drive Mosler.
No. This is a two-wheel drive Viper that's doing all the winning. He's got the lead. Greg Crick over the top of Dandenong Road. Love this part of the racetrack. One of the best parts on any track around Australia.
Absolutely. One of the fastest corners in Australia. And we've got Greg Crick back out in front, but he's used a fair chunk of his tyres. Mark Eddy coming through the field there too.
Oh, Nico Halloran trying to clear Stephen Grove in the challenge Porsche, but Mark Eddy, Michelin onboard camera, he does not need to pass Nico Halloran. Looking at the championship numbers, if he stays where he is, that will give him the championship. He just needs to keep this car nice and clean, nice and straight, and the crown will be his.
He'll be well informed with this, Aaron, too, with his pit. As the blue flags are waved here for some lap traffic, he'll be well informed that he only needs to finish this race where he is to win the championship, so you won't see any risky moves from Mark Eddy at all.
Tony Quinn, it's been a big year for the VIP Pet Foods owner. Of course, he took over this category midway through the season, yellow flag on display. So this is a no passing zone, which generally it isn't really a passing zone until about here anyway, turn 4.
Well, you can see here the green flag is waved. From that green flag, that's when you can start to pass again. And Mark Eddy just tiptoeing his way through this, I guess, midfield bunch here towards the end of this race. There's got to only be 2 or 3 minutes to go as we go on board with Mark now, and you'll see the straight line speed of this Audi coming up next to the Mosler.
The boys from Melbourne Performance Centre have done a wonderful job with this car this year. It is typical Audi. They've not had to touch the engine. They've had to do very little work to it. It is a beautiful piece of engineering, and this underlines exactly why he opted for this car. It's the only one in the country as seen him now makes a move on Andrew McPherson in the Mosler.
Peter Hackett stayed in hot pursuit of Greg Crick for the entire race.
In race 1, this Viper broke the GT lap record by virtually 0.8 of a second from Tony Quinn's mark from last year. Crick has been hooked up. We're on the last lap. The clock has stopped. He's only got a few corners to go.
He's done a great job all weekend, as has Peter Hackett, coming from the back of the grid in race 1 to finish second. But the weekend's all about Crick. He has been fast all weekend, and what a way to finish the year off with a double win.
It's a clean sweep for the Viper, and it's Greg Crick's first round winning the championship in 5.5 years. Can you believe that? He's dominated this weekend, but it is all about this man now. Mark Eddy, in 2008, he won in a Lamborghini. Last year, he was 6th in the Audi. This year, he is going to be a 2-time Australian GT champion. The Audi has broken through. Eddy will cross the line. 6th place is good enough for the title. Well done to Mark Eddy. Well done to Greg Crick. Peter Hackett's on the podium for the weekend. Dean Koutsamides wins the challenge class and is 9th overall. Peter Boylan wraps up the challenge class in the Porsche 997. But Greg Crick, too strong all weekend. And that's reflected on the result sheet. Koutsamides wins the challenge round from Boylan and Grove. Greg Crick, too strong, 2 wins from 2 starts.
A clean sweep of the weekend, that's the way to wrap up the season.
Yeah, lovely way to finish the year, and the car ran faultlessly all day, Friday, Saturday and Sunday. The only thing we got wrong was I didn't get pole position. Missed out on that by a little bit in the wet, but it was a great weekend for us.
Greg Crick picks up the big trophy and some vodka row as well. That will go down very nicely in Tasmania tonight. But in the championship, Mark Eddy wins, 36 points back to Clark Quinn. Crick is third, and Peter Boylan wraps up challenge. But for Audi, it's their first win in Australia.
What's it feel for you to claim this one this year?
Look, it's fantastic, not only for myself, but really for the team. Audi, you know, they've wrapped, so for them to win the Australian Championship in GT is really a big thing for Audi in Europe.
A round win this year at Phillip Island and 3 race wins is enough for Mark Eddy to be crowned champ in 2011. That's it for another exciting year in the Vodka Row Australian GT Championship. Thanks to Steve Johnson and the whole team. We'll see you in 2012.